Hey guys, welcome back to the Lit Mag Lab podcast. I'm Vevna Forrow, yeah. So previously I was showing you around Lothlorien Poetry Journal, yeah. So if you're curious what the Lothlorien's about, listen back to that episode, yeah. And yeah, so today, as you can see, we're going to check out 14 poems, yeah. And I'm on Chill Subs right now, as you can see. So just a little bit about 14 poems. It was founded in 2020, and it's not the number. The number 14 is spelled out, so it's 14 poems, right? Fourteen. And yeah, 14poems.com. So yeah, founded in 2020. It's based out of the UK, United Kingdom, right? And it says here in the About section, every issue we bring together 14 of the best poets in the world, printing their queer takes on sex, love, race, gender, and life in the LGBTQ plus global community. Our print edition is released 3 times a year and is designed to bring modern poetry into your everyday life. We hope by limiting it to just 14 poems, you'll be able to get a snapshot of the diverse, exciting takes on queer life. And then if you go to the submission info section, it says, and I'm quoting this, like Sylvia Plath reading Butt magazine, 14 poems. Again, it's a London-based poetry journal, and it says publishing the most exciting LGBTQ plus poets 3 times a year. And yeah, it says the vibe here is send us your best but less intimidating. And it shows here the response time. The average has been about 100 days for those who track in Chill Subs. Again, that may not be entirely accurate. That's just those who have tracked it thus far. The acceptance rate is showing, Chill Subs tracker stats 1.98%, guys. So it's tough, yeah. And yeah, so you can see that says they are open right now, right? And rolling submissions, this is always open. And some lit mags and journals do this, right? They have a call that they hold perhaps annually, and they just use that, to indicate, there's no specific deadline because it's hard to like go in there and update it every single time. So sometimes, they just say, oh yeah, we filled our issue, and we're closed, then we'll be back open in the next window. And sometimes they'll have that on their website or social media and stuff like that. So yeah, so if we click on this, you can see they do pay. So that's in I'm not sure what the current version on that isn't like 20. No, it's between 28 and $33 USD, right? Yeah, I don't know what that's converted out to, but you can see 25 per piece here, but it's again, it's a London-based magazine. So my conversion's always been kind of tough and tricky. Yeah, but yeah, so you can convert that out, guys, and see. But yeah, so it says the poetry, right, and accepting prose poems, and the medium is print, right? So it's a print based series, right? It says they have examples online, and yeah, and they accept simultaneous submissions. It says they don't nominate for prizes. Again, I'm not entirely sure. Like the last episode, right? Place said that, and they did. So I don't know. Who knows? That could be accurate. And yeah. It says here they intake everything via email, and yeah, so they're just looking for a brief additional paragraph about yourself, but they judge the poems blind. So yeah, just keep your name off the actual document if possible. And yeah, so just it says don't include any graphics or images, and notifying how you identify, if you've been published elsewhere, and what your work is like, and yeah, so you retain your copyright. And yeah, so the founding editor, I believe, or the editor in chief is Ben Townley Canning, and yeah, you can see that there. Now if we go over to 14 poems site here, I think I have it up, so let's go to the homepage. And you can see here it says they have a update message. They're on holiday until the 5th. And yeah, so that's cool that they give updates, so you can see they're active. And yeah, now it mentions examples online. I would say there are more examples out on their social media channels, like Instagram for sure. And yeah, so I mentioned you don't need a social media account necessarily to be a poet or to get published in places or anything like that, but I think it helps to have some sort of account to check out some examples of issues and some pieces, that have been published in the past through issues or even some of their pamphlets. And yeah, so yeah, they have 14 poems. They have some examples that they post from time to time, and yeah, I really enjoy reading those. And they also do some really cool like guest reads and features from those who are published in issues and some of the pamphlets they've published. So I really like listening to those and hearing the poets' voices and yeah, learning who's behind the work. Now, yeah, it says they publish three anthologies a year, and yeah, again, and they state here, I quote this: "We hope that by limiting it just 14 poems, again, you'll get a bite-sized snapshot." So, in terms of just limiting it to 14 poems, now at Dippy Lit Mag, we had tried limiting things to, at first 19 poems, then it was down, just to a certain number, and then it was reduced again. And that was because we were trying to trim down issues because of the cost when I found out about how much it was with the print provider went. And we're restructuring that. Also, we're going to have a set amount still for our, designated submission section and our contest too. So, I think it helps when you have a set number of poems, for each issue. There's been times we've had, bonus share sections and stuff in past issues, but it's hard when you don't cap things because then the page count looks, different than past issues. So you want to have consistency. So I like that they say, just 14 poems. And in the next episode, guys, hint, hint, we're going to be covering another, literary journal or, magazine possibly that sort of has a set amount as well. There are several other ones out there that have just a specific amount, even in their name indicative of that, right? So yeah, well, that's just a hint of the next episode. And yeah, so it says you can buy a single issue or 4-issue subscription or gift subscription. Again, they publish several pamphlets a year, and yeah, so these pamphlets, I think 14 Poems has these really cool pamphlets again. Yeah, and I think I really love this series. Absolutely, it's a really cool. Look at this owl, guys. I love that. And yeah, so you can see which ones are on sale, which ones are sold out, and yeah, I think they're really beautiful pamphlets. I've seen some videos of them on social media, some photographs too, and yeah, so I would say, again, and you have to meet the eligibility requirements, right, for 14 poems, right? And yeah, so, I've, submitted to them myself in the past totally. I didn't, get acceptance, not thus far, but, we always keep trying, at places. I'd say I'm a fan of 14 poems for sure. I really like the style of their pamphlets and, the anthologies and the issues they have, so yeah, and you can see they have merch available. You can grab everything. Issue 16, I think, is was that the most recent one? Yeah, and yeah, so I think that's really cool. I really love the. You see, it's just I love how they have a distinct color for each one issue, and then it has, I believe, the. Let's click on issue 15, for example, here. So you can see here, it has the names of the poets, and yeah, so I think it's really cool, the simplicity of it. I like that style. And then their pamphlets, has some artwork on it. And yeah, the solo pamphlets. So they, spotlight individual poets too through the pamphlets. And then they also do the, the issue publications and anthologies. I think that's really nice. So yeah. Um, they have a stockist list here. So these are bookshops that they've gotten into, and that's really cool. It's really hard to get into bookshops, guys, or personally, I've seen here in the US. So I think that's really cool that they have been able to get, into bookshops, and that places carry, 14 poems. And yeah. And yeah, it says here if someone stocks it, right, to let them know, right? We're not always told, in the publication space if someone, picks up our work or carries it in bookshops. So it's nice to know that. But yeah, again, I did an episode on getting into bookshops, what my experience was like, things like that. And on this podcast, I shared things I failed at and things that were successful, and the ups and downs in the earlier part of this audio series. So you can listen back to it if you like. Looks like they have a newsletter sign up here too, so that's cool. And yeah, so everything's really simple. I would say I really like everything's easy to find and everything. Yeah. The only thing I would say, in the about section, they don't have, the masthead or editor in chief's name, specifically on here, or, photographs of, any of the reading team, or the editor in chief and things like that. Now, it's not all absolutely necessary to have photographs, but it's nice to have the name and bio, a little bit about the editor in chief and things like that. That's my only comment. And 14 poems, focuses on print, right? And yeah, so I think it'd be interesting. I don't know if 14 poems would ever do an online series, or more online, um, shares on their site and things like that, and have some sort of search. But all in all, def a fan of their pamphlets again, in anthologies and issues. A really cool series that they've established. Yeah, these series that they've been doing. I've just been following it very closely, so I wanted to share it. And it's cool. They, there's no submission fees again, so they do pay for work, and it's again very cool, and it's international. So, if you are, part of the LGBTQ plus community, and you're looking for a place, to try, this would be one. Again, it's pretty tight, again, a 1.98% acceptance rate. So, when you see acceptance rates like that, you shouldn't be scared. You should just try, again, as I mentioned, right, if you are, you're like, oh, this place has a super low acceptance rate, there's no way I'll get in. You shouldn't think like that again. You should just try. And sometimes it takes a couple times before you land an acceptance of a place you really love and like. Yeah. So yeah, um, it's a pretty cool publication, so if you are on, social media, Instagram or anything like that, highly suggest, I think they have a Blue Sky account now too as well. If you are, on social media, Instagram particularly, again, they show a lot of great reading events that they do. I think they've done some lives as well. And yeah, so you can see poets read from, I think, their pamphlets and some of the issues and anthologies. And yeah, I really love the reels and video reads that they showcase on their account. And I believe 14 Poems also holds workshop events as well, in terms of like poetry courses too. I'm not sure if they're, free or not, or if there's fees for those or attendance fees. So I'm not sure. So that'd be something you'd have to look into. I think you can find out more about that. Obviously, you can always reach out to places if you have a question, but on social media, they post about that, courses and stuff too. And yeah, I think it'd be nice if they had maybe an event section, or something about courses on their website too. But yeah, who knows? Maybe they'll add that one day. But yeah, you can see others have linked out examples, right, from the issues they were in, and in print. So yeah, oftentimes, again, you can find some great examples on social media of poems they've accepted and published. And yeah, so totally, check out 14 Poems, pick up some pamphlets, pick up the issues and anthologies. It's a really great London based poetry journal, again, I must say. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, I think Ben does a really great job. And yeah, I'm going to have to totally, grab some stuff from the shop sometime for sure. And yeah, it was always a matter of my budget and stuff, how many, right, how many issues you can subscribe to, how many you can purchase in places you follow, right? So yeah, so I'm gonna try and do that someday myself. So yeah, 14 Poems, guys, check it out again. And pretty short episode today. And next up, we're gonna do another one that has a cap on the amount of poems they have in each issue. Yeah, so look out for that. Yeah. And one more thing before you go, guys. So if I scroll down here, right, back to the submission call and chill subs, and again, I don't know what this conversion is, but it says the pay is 25 per piece. And I think when you convert that to USD, it would be somewhere between 34 and $39 USD. I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to calculate that after this again, or go to a site. But yeah, if you're submitting to a place internationally and they, pay, per poem or something, you typically, again, can quickly convert that out somewhere online and see. So if we go back here, I don't think it's 25 anymore, actually. I was just going under, the submit section and came across this. So we scroll down, right? It says they pay 30 for each poem published. So I think, again, that would be like 34 or $39 USD, somewhere between there for the current conversion rate, somewhere between there. I'm not sure exactly. In any case, again, it's awesome. They have, again, the anthologies slash issues, and they have the solo pamphlet series. You can see it says the submission window is now closed, and they expect to reopen, in late autumn of 2025 for solo pamphlets. And then for the anthologies that they do, 3 times a year, typically you always hear back by early December, it says, and the deadline for, issue 18 here, for example, is 9 a.m. London time on September 1st, 2025. So that's coming up here. It's now August, and yeah, so totally, if you're, eligible, totally submit and try, guys, for sure. And yeah, again, I think this has always been a publication, that focuses on, the LGBTQ plus community. That's always caught my eye. I think, 14 Poems does a really great job, again, on these anthologies and pamphlets. They're very cool. So yeah, again, I'm gonna have to pick some up sometime. And yeah, so oh, one more thing. So I just want to mention one more thing. So back on the submit page, right? In terms of their guidelines, right, for anthologies, it says here, right, to be considered, you can do up to 5 previously unpublished poems. Yeah. And yeah, so that's awesome. I know some places are just like, send us one poem, just one poem, right? And I think it's nice when places say, you can send us, up to 5. That's pretty cool. So, it gives you, more chances, essentially, right? I think there's more pressure when it's just you're sending one poem, right, off to a place, right? And yeah, so again, this is it's free to submit to 14 poems, and they don't have any thing where it locks you in, like you can't get your copyright or anything. You retain copyright to your work. And yeah, it says also they allow simultaneous, they just, again, don't publish work that's already been published online or in print. And yeah, so def check out 14 Poems when you get the chance. Yeah. And next up, again, going to be another publication that has a name that perhaps you're aware of, or not quite. So stay tuned for that episode. And yeah, I think this is another place, right? I'll just tack this on real quick. That processes submissions via email. And yeah, so you don't, if you're looking to start a lit mag or journal or an anthology series or issues, and starting up even chapbooks or pamphlets, right? You don't need to necessarily have a submission management system, but it can be beneficial, right? It can be to track and manage all of the incoming submissions, to have some of those things, let's say the about info, tied to poet, concealed, right, from the team, and yeah, but it's not a huge deal. But I think it's a good idea to, that's just my thing about that. Because I know it was really tough for me managing stuff via email. Sometimes you can lose track of things, and if you want to work with other team members and stuff, and it's much easier, I think, in a submission management platform. But in any case, there are a lot of places that have been long running and standing that have, solely processed things via email, in terms of poetry submissions. So it's not like it's an absolute requirement or anything like that, but it can be helpful, if you're someone who likes to stay organized, tag and label things, and, do that. Yeah. Anyways, 14 Poems is awesome. So check them out. Yeah. And take care, guys. Yeah.